When writing the essay, we start out with an introduction paragraph. As I said in the last video, this introduction paragraph is different from the types of paragraphs we've been discussing throughout the course. So I want to spend a couple of videos looking specifically at the introduction. In the last video, we discussed the hook and 4 methods for grabbing your reader's attention. Now we're going to cover the rest of the introduction, which includes the thesis statement and the roadmap. Now, the thesis statement works just like the topic sentence in a paragraph, and it still has 2 main parts, basically the same 2 main parts as the topic sentence, because we start out with the topic, and now it's the topic for the entire essay, and also have the writer's idea, opinion, attitude, or point about that topic. What do you have to say about that topic? Now, the same rules that we learned about topic sentences also apply to the thesis statement. 3 main rules that we're going to cover. First, remember, do not be too broad. Remember, specific writing is interesting writing, so you never want to start out with a big, broad, general statement. Here's an example. Teenage pregnancy is a big problem. Well, that's incorrect, because while it does have a topic, and it kind of has an idea, it's too big of an idea. There's just way too much that we could discuss about this in one essay. We need to focus this and make it a little more specific. Like, condoms are an effective way to prevent teenage pregnancy. That is a correct thesis statement because it is more specific. That is an idea that you can cover in just one essay. Now, remember, also, do not merely announce the topic. Announcement is a big mistake when it comes to both topic sentences and thesis statements. Here's an example. This essay will be about distributing condoms in high school. That's incorrect. You never want to start out with a phrase like, this essay will, or I will tell you about, or this paper will cover. All of that is what we call announcement, because we do have a limited topic, distributing condoms in high school, but there's really not an idea being advanced in this topic sentence. Here's a correct way to do it. Distributing condoms in high school is a smart way to reduce teen pregnancy, because now we have that same limited topic, distributing condoms in high school, but now we've added an idea that we're advancing, that it will reduce teen pregnancy. Now, a third rule, remember not to be too narrow. Don't simply give a statement of fact as your thesis statement. For example, many high schools distribute condoms. Well, that's true, and it might even be a great supporting point for your topic sentence or your thesis statement, but by itself it is not a good thesis statement, because we do have a limited topic, but there's still not an idea, attitude, opinion, or point being provided. Here's a correct version. Many high schools distribute condoms, and it is a successful method of reducing teen pregnancy. So I kept the first half, I kept that statement of fact, but I added an idea that it's a successful method for reducing teen pregnancy. So once you've got that thesis statement and we start out with our hook, finally we want a roadmap in our introduction paragraph. We call it a roadmap because it's going to tell the reader where our essay is going. And we will mention the 3 supporting points that we're going to use in the body of our essay. These 3 supporting points will then become our 3 body paragraphs in our essay. Now, you don't have to go into detail about these supporting points. That will come later. That's what the body is. We just need to either write out the supporting points in a complete sentence, or we can include them as part of the thesis statement. Let's look at a couple of examples. Sex education in high school should include the distribution of condoms. This plan will reduce the teen pregnancy rate, prevent sexually transmitted diseases, and provide protection to those who cannot afford to buy condoms. So you see what we did here is we wrote out our thesis statement first, that sex education in high school should include the distribution of condoms, and then in a separate sentence, we listed our 3 supporting points. Now, you can also make the 2 things one. You can combine the thesis statement with the roadmap. Here's an example of doing that. Distributing condoms in high school is a good idea for 3 reasons. It will reduce the teen pregnancy rate, prevent sexually transmitted diseases, and provide protection to those who cannot afford to buy condoms. So I've used the same 3 supporting points, but now I've combined it and made it part of my thesis statement. So now you know how to write an introduction paragraph. We're going to start with the hook, then include a thesis statement, which will be the topic sentence for the whole essay, and then include your roadmap. Once we've done that, we're ready to move on to the first body paragraph, which is what we will discuss in our next video.